Gabi!
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's get.
Before we get started, Attack on Titan gotta be like top 3 animes of all time. Personally, probably my favorite anime of all time. And then Death Note, close second. Everything while L was still alive. What is good, YouTube? How we doing today? I hope we doing great today. Today, we want to be checking out 40 hidden details that you missed in Attack on Titan. Now, let me get this straight. I am like a steel trap. When I see a detail, I will know it. So, almost guaranteed, I probably know every single detail. But maybe the people don't know every single detail. So, Hendrix, that's why you're making this video, right? For the people. Well, you know what? Maybe I made it for the people. You know what I'm saying? I hope we all doing good today, man. We just dropped our video on freaking 41 and their Mafiathons freestyle. If you haven't watched that, please go check it out. My neck is still killing me. Like I talked about in the previous video, my neck, no bueno. But we're gonna keep it pushing, alright? Now, like I said, my mind is a steel trap. So most of this stuff, you know, like, I probably already knew. Context right now. Attack on Titan dropped when I was still in high school. Like halfway through my senior year in high school. And then I was like, yo, I was that hard. I was watching this every single night. My grades were slipping, but AOT was kicking. You feel me? No, okay, sorry, I won't say that. But anyways, AOT peak. This is peak content, peak anime, right? And I didn't want it to end. So the last episode I watched like in senior year was the ending part 1, and then they had to drop part 2 like a month later. And as soon as part 2 dropped, bro, I deleted Instagram. I didn't look at any socials online because I did not want to get spoiled. And I was just like, bro, I don't want Attack on Titan to end. Fast forward to like last year in Christmas time, I watched that joint. Let me tell you, I have never cried harder to an anime before, bruh. Never, ever cried to like an anime. Ever like that. Ever! Alright, so let's get straight to these details that
These
I
are
missed in
40
the greatest
hidden
anime
details
in the greatest anime of all time. All right.
Definitely missed in Attack on Titan. If you paid very close attention during the awards ceremony when the scouts returned from Shiganshina, then you would have noticed that the medal that Historia gave Eren, combined with the buttons on her robe, actually resembles the exact same shape as Eren's.
All right. That's very.
Did you know that the AOT manga never reached chapter 140? But why not? Well, Isayama has confirmed that the reason for this was because the number 140 means freedom in Japan, which, as we all know, is what Eren kept moving forward to reach, but never did. Let
me tell you now, the author of this manga, let me get the name. I'm a fake fan. Isayama, he did Eren dirty. Now, am I happy with the ending? I thought, I was like, yeah, like everyone got to live their life, la. But why not Eren? You gotta like I was so pissed off when I got to see Gabi live and not Eren. Gabi should have been the one who died, not Eren. Eren was the GOAT. But they killed him. And it was so sad. And when he died, and Mikasa didn't, heavy spoilers. If you haven't watched AOT, do not watch this video. If you have not watched AOT, do not watch this video. Hendrix about to spoil so much stuff, alright? But bro, they should have been a happy couple together, bro. Like, it's not fair. It's honestly not fair.
Secretly met up in Marley to discuss their plan. During the scene where Zeke throws his baseball to Eren, if you look closely at their shadows, you'll notice that their heads are missing, directly foreshadowing both of the brothers.
Wait, what? I did not know that. Their heads were...
their shadows, you'll notice
maybe my mind is not still
that their heads are missing, directly foreshadowing both of the brothers' fates in the show's ending. Did you know that this moment wasn't supposed to be the first time we saw Eren use the Warhammer's power? In season 4, the military talk about how Eren had escaped from his jail cell. They never actually showed us his breakout in the anime, but in the manga there is a panel that shows the tunnel that Eren made to escape.
Sick.
He used the Warhammer to dig the hole and then fill it up with hardening so that no one could follow him. Everybody knows just how much foreshadowing there is in opening 5 of the show, and the chances are you've seen when it shows Armin burnt up. However, there's actually another hidden frame within this opening. Right before it shows Historia, there is one singular frame where you can actually see Dinah Fritz from the photo that Grisha kept in his journal in the basement. Did you know that in the very first episode of the show, the existence of Marley is actually hinted at? If you go back and look at the very first title card, you can actually see Marley, the ocean, and the walls on Paradise.
Yeah, that's true. Like, whenever you see the panels, like, there's always subtle foreshadowing out of it, bro. Bro, Attack on Titan is the freaking final boss of foreshadowing, bro. Like there's no one that's ever gonna compete.
This exact
ever.
ship is the ship that Reiner, Berthold, Annie, and Marcel travel to Paradis on for the first time. While Annie is about to leave with Falco, Gabi, and the Azumabito, everyone is saying goodbye to her except for Levi, who stays very quiet. This is because he never forgot about the fact that she absolutely decimated his squad and many of his other comrades back in season 1. Seems like he isn't going to forgive her anytime soon. For anyone who has or hasn't read the Attack on Titan guidebook, every character's birthday is listed within that book, and some birthdays hold more significance than others. We all saw how Marco died back in season 1. He was eaten in half by a Titan. But what's crazy is that his birthday is on the 16th of June, which is the exact halfway point in the year. Throughout the show, Armin was always the narrator, but why was this? In the show's ending, when the heroes are heading across the sea back over to Paradis, Armin talks about making their story known and explaining everything. The story that he's referring to is essentially just the plot of Attack on Titan, and the reason why he's the narrator is because the whole show is simply just Armin's telling of the story that we all know and love. Most soldiers use ODM with their index and middle fingers on the trigger. Levi does sometimes do this, however he also has a signature style that is completely unique to himself. Fans like to call this Levi fidget spinner mode. He flips one of his swords backwards and instead uses his pinky and ring finger to operate his ODM gear, which is why losing both his middle and index fingers wasn't enough to stop humanity's strongest soldier. In the very first episode of the show, when we first see the scouts in action, we briefly see the character of Moses. However, if you're an anime only like myself, you wouldn't have known this about him. In the manga, his mother calls Moses by his last name, which is Brown. As we all know, this is also Reiner's second name. This could mean that some of Reiner's ancestors fled to Paradis with Karl Fritz. In the episode From You 2000 Years Ago, we're shown Ymir's backstory. As she's running away from the people chasing her, we see a bloodied flower. But what's special about this flower is that there are 9 petals, which is how many Titan powers there actually are. But what's even crazier is that when all of the other slaves snitch on Ymir, there are 13 hands pointing at him. 13 and
years!
As we know, a Titan shifter only lives for 13 years. In season 4, when Pekin Gal-
Also, another interesting thing too, people like to speculate that on the 9 petals, there's one petal with blood on one of them, and they suspect that that might be the attack Titan, because you know it has a special ability that no one knows except for those that are the attack Titan. It's pretty tough. It's a pretty cool idea.
Infiltrated Paradis. At first we see Galliard in a garrison uniform. However, just a few episodes later, which in real time was probably just a few minutes, he can be seen wearing a Survey Corps uniform, one of the show's very few mistakes. We all knew that Gabi was supposed to be the sort of Marleyan version of Eren, but what's interesting is that her whole character—
Fuck Gabi! We all hate Gabi! She doesn't deserve shit! She was the one character who I could not stand the entire time. Can we please publicly execute this chick? Because, bro, she don't deserve to be here. She don't deserve to have a happy life. She murdered one of the goats. Sasha was supposed to live throughout the entire time. Why does Gabi get to live her life, and then Sasha is a fucking ghost that says bye to Connie, and
It's based on a sketch that Isayama did of a female Eren Yeager. So Gabri is quite literally a female Eren. In the very first episode of the show, when we meet Armin for the first time, we see these guys bullying him. But what actually happened to them? Isayama has stated before how much he hates bullying, so naturally he wanted to kill them off ASAP. When the Colossal Titan kicks down the wall in Season 1, you can actually see the main bully getting hit by a massive boulder. Did you notice that the last two
Oh, that's crazy! I didn't even realize
members
that.
of the Yeager family were killed by the last two members of the Ackerman family. When Hanji dies, we see her reunite with some of the scouts in the afterlife. But did you ever look at who was actually there? We can actually see Erwin, Mike, Moblit, Keith Shadis, Nanaba, Sasha, Dieter, Ian, and even Ymir. But if you take an even closer look, you can also see Flock, who is keeping his distance from the rest of the scouts.
Fuck Flock.
In the second ending sequence of Season 1, the identities of the warriors and Ymir are actually foreshadowed. We can see all of the scouts next to one of the walls. It then transitions to the other side of the wall where we see Annie, Reiner, Berthold, and Ymir all standing behind the wall. And as we know now, these characters came from across the sea over on Marley. We all know that the very first founding Titan was created by a combination of Ymir's wishes and the power of this strange worm. What's crazy though is that this worm isn't just some random mythical creature that Isayama made up to fit the plot of AOT. It's actually a real life creature.
Ew,
the Hallucigenia is an extinct type of marine worm, and Isayama has stated that the reason why he chose this creature in particular was because it was one of the very first worms in all existence. In Season 2, when some of the scouts are taking refuge in the castle ruins, Reiner walks in on Ymir rummaging through a box of canned food. More specifically, herring. However, when she passes the can to Reiner, he was completely startled by this. The reason? Because the writing on the can was actually in Marleyan. But seeing as they both understood the language, they both revealed to each other their true identities. Another one from Season 2, when the scouts are told to evacuate all nearby villages, after they thought that Wall Rose had been breached, we see Sasha saving a girl from a creepily small titan. What many people may have missed is that this titan was actually Connie's dad. The titans that were inside the walls that day were simply the citizens of Ragako after Zeke turned them into titans. Throughout the show, there are a few times where we see Levi drinking tea, but did you notice that he holds his cup in a very strange way? Well, the reason why he does this is because back when he lived in the underground, he once bought himself an expensive cup of black tea, having saved up money for a while. However, when he picked it up by its handle, it instantly broke and spilled all over him. So now he only holds his cups from the rims.
Is that just the information that only the comic book or the manga readers will know?
Before the scouts set out to kill Rod Reese, Levi tells Historia that she needs to become the queen. Mikasa then tells her that she could hit him after all of this was over. When Historia does punch him, Levi laughs. Not only was this the first and last time we see Levi smile in the show, but there's actually more to it. Part of the reason why Levi was smiling was because he was happy that for once, his squad managed to survive. During Eren and Armin's final conversation, there's a hidden detail that has a truly sad meaning behind it. We all remember back in Season 3 when Armin picks up a seashell after the scouts finally made it to the ocean. Eren was the only one who didn't see it. He first saw the shell during his and Armin's very last conversation. The reason he didn't see it before was because he was too busy looking ahead at his enemies beyond the ocean. When
he didn't deserve it. I know that Eren, he's the one who set everything into motion, bro, but why did Isayama, bro, why did you have to make us love this character so much, bro? Like, I genuinely loved Eren, bro. I still love Eren to this day. I want that. Pause. All I'm saying is that Titan D. Okay, pause.
Hanji and Levi are torturing Sanis to try and get information about the royal family from him. We see Hanji use a variety of methods on him, but this one unsurprisingly missed the final cut. This gadget is essentially a nutcracker, if you get what I'm saying. The device works by putting the nuts in said device, and then the screw at the top is twisted until it crushes what's inside. Luckily for Sanis, before the device was used, he gave up all the information that was needed, so Hanji never ended up using it. When Armin came to the suspicion that the female Titan could be looking for Eren, he comes up with the idea of hiding their faces as they go to attack her. He does this because he believes that it won't kill anyone unless it confirms that they aren't Eren. However, when Reiner goes to attack her, he takes his hood down. The reason he did this was so that Annie would know that it was Reiner and therefore allow him to escape. And everyone knows just how—
And then when she crushes him and he comes back, because she did crush him. Don't get it twisted. She crushed him. but he healed so fast that as soon as he got out of the hand, he goes back to the horse. You can see steam coming off the dude, bro. You ain't slick, Reiner. We all knew what was going on. And what's crazy too is that they've been foreshadowing the steam effect and healing this whole time. Like even when Eren hit his head and they had to wrap it up, and they went to eat dinner, there was steam coming from his head. They made it seem like it was some sort of like, anime joke, but no. He's a Titan. It's crazy.
Much foreshadowing there is in the openings of the show. If you look very closely amongst the
my fault. I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Cool visuals in opening 6, My War.
My dad called, so I had to attend to that.
You'll see this massive smoke cloud appear above a couple buildings, directly foreshadowing the Rumbling's arrival at Fort Salta. During Season 1, Episode 2, when Eren, Mikasa, Armin, and all of the other people of Shiganshina are evacuating to Wall Rose, if you pay close attention, you'll actually be able to spot Annie amongst the refugees. Also, later on in the same episode, before many people were sent to their death in an attempt to solve famine, you'll notice that Reiner and Bertholdt were also in the crowd. During the show's finale, when all of the scouts and Marleyan warriors are reuniting with each other and their families, we all know that Connie and Jan somehow managed to see Sasha. However, if you look closely, you'll actually be able to notice that in the background you can see her fade away and Connie immediately starts to cry. A truly heartbreaking detail. We all remember when the Colossal Titan grabs the wall before destroying it back in Season 1. But did you know that during the Return to Shiganshina arc, as Eren is going to transform to seal the wall, the same damage is still there. In the final episode when Armin broke down crying after he saw Mikasa holding Eren's head, he wasn't with the scouts when they decided that they had to kill Eren to stop the rumbling. Meaning that this moment where he breaks down was the first he heard of the new plan. Page 13 is the only page in the entire AOT manga that is numbered, featuring the scene where Eren wakes up from his dream under the infamous tree. This is directly foreshadowing his death and return to the tree 13 years later. Throughout the show, we all saw Eren go through a variety of different hairstyles, but if you look closely at different points, you'll notice that they all somewhat resemble.
It was each Titan.
The haircuts of the previous holders of his Titans. When he saw his dad's memories in jail, he had a similar hairstyle to Grisha. We all know his famous man bun from after he ate the Warhammer Titan as well. And sometimes he even had a similar hairstyle to Frieda Reis. Throughout the show, our main three characters often follow a similar order. Eren always rushing ahead, Mikasa chasing close after him, and Armin trailing behind. In Paths, Armin talks about the time that they once raced to the tree on top of the hill, which further highlights this dynamic. But did you notice that in the ending of the show, it shows Armin once again being the last to the tree?
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh my goodness. My baby, he's so old. Dude, Attack on Titan. Thank you, Isayama. Like, thank you so much. Like, I didn't even know that there was this detail. Bro, seeing Mikasa when she passed away in her casket, that genuinely made me tear up so much, because I was like, bro, she lived her whole life without the one person she loved, bro. Like, it was just so sad.
This time, he was the only one left alive. During Season 1 of the show, when Eren and the others join the training corps, we see Eren miserably fail his ODM training exercise. However, if you looked very closely when they arrived back after the incident, you can actually see Titan steam coming.
I told you!
Injury.
Why would I lie?
Reiner and Bertholdt's reveal as the armored and colossal Titans.
Reiner
but if you
and
look very
Buttfart.
closely just before they transform, you'll actually be able to see one frame of their respective Titan forms.
So
Isayama
tough.
included a few Titans that were designed based on real-life people in AOT. For example, you probably know about these Titans in the manga based on Eren and Mikasa's Japanese voice actors. But if you looked very closely in Season 4, you might have noticed this Titan right here, which of course is a reference to the TV show Better Call Saul. Before Isayama began making Attack on Titan, he used to work in an internet cafe. And one day a foreign customer came up to him, grabbed him by the shirt and started shouting at him. Obviously, Isayama couldn't understand what the guy was saying, and he would later try to convey this fear of something you can't understand through the show's pure Titans. In the show's second ending sequence that plays during Season 1 Part 2, you will notice one scene where Mikasa is stood next to a praying mantis. Now at first glance, this may seem like nothing, however this is not the case. For those of you who don't know, female praying mantises are known for cutting off their partner's heads, directly foreshadowing AOT's ending. Back at the end of Season 1, when Eren is fighting Annie in his Berserk Titan form, he says, "I'll destroy destroy the entire world. And initially it may have come across like he was just angry about how Annie betrayed him, but as we know now, bro was being completely serious. We all remember Tom Casaver, Zeke's mentor and previous Beast Titan, but did you notice that he actually appears in the show well before we saw him during Zeke's backstory? Back in season 3 during Grisha's backstory, you can actually spot him right when Grisha is about to leave the walls with his sister.
How to ruin an anime. Add guns. Alright, that was that. There was a lot of stuff that I already knew in there, but the one that's really got my heart right now is the old Armin. That one's genuinely just sad, bro. Like damn.